Yes, there we go.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, welcome everybody. Thanks for turning out for this second to the last math club of our glorious semester. It's my pleasure to present Dr. Ellen Brazell, who is going to tell us about a master's in data science. And let me also kind of give her a little plug. She is the co-director of a top 5, namely this one, program in data science and analytics. So without any further ado, give you Dr. Brazell.
Well, screen already being shared, I guess.
Yeah, you don't want to share screen, I guess.
Okay. So yeah, hi, I'm Ellen Brazell. I'm a principal lecturer here in the School of Mathematical and Statistical Sciences. I'm also the Assistant Director of Data Science Online Education and Outreach, which is enough of a mouthful. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what my definition of what data science is, kind of what this program looks like, where it fits in the world of data science, and then how we structured it. Why I think this program is different than other programs that are out there, and then and tell you about some other opportunities we have. I will take questions throughout, so just feel free to stop me. I'm not a problem. No, there's no problem with that. All right, so what is data science? Well, data science is a relatively new term, a new industry, but the math behind it is not new, right? It's a lot of statistics and modeling and operations research, and so data science sort of lives in this intersection, and there are 2 Venn diagrams I'm going to show you. This is sort of the application Venn diagram of we have models and data analysis, machine learning, and statistics, and those sort of intersect to give you data science, where we have modeling processes and algorithms and systems all coming together for this knowledge of data science. And in terms of academia, what that looks like is mathematics, but this is also statistics, right? Math and stat, computer science, where those 2 things intersect is machine learning, right? And then what this is called is domain expertise. So whatever, yeah, I don't care about. Whatever context you're putting these problems for these models in, so there's some sort of institutional knowledge for that, for domain expertise in that. So there's an overlap here for what data science is. So I don't know if you can see that. So this is kind of a blurry slide, but the main one I'm covering over this one down here. So there are 3 main, this is not the only jobs, but there are 3 main jobs that come out of having a master's degree in data science or an undergraduate degree in data science. One is a data scientist, and those people can really do things from start to finish, right? They can do the statistical analysis, they have the computational background, they are probably gaining as they work on whatever projects that domain expertise. They can program, they can do statistical modeling, more than likely they can do SQL and all the business side of it as well. So it's sort of a start to finish position. I have found the more I'm in this field that the companies will advertise for a data science, that they want a data scientist, and that's not really what they want. They don't really know what that is, but it's a catch-all phrase that sort of gets at a lot of things. Then there are data engineers, which have more of a computer science background. These are the ones that are sort of wrangling the data. They're scraping the web, they're taking the data that's coming into whatever industry, managing that data, probably using SQL to the Azure Blue, and messing with the data so that it's structured in a way that that others can use it. And then there are data analysts. Again, this is not first of all, these things are not mutually exclusive. They work in tandem with one another, and these are not the only positions. But data analysts are sort of ones that have a foot in each door, right? They understand the analysis, or at least enough of it to understand the numbers that are coming out of the data scientist or the statisticians that are in the basement, because that's usually where they put us, the statisticians in the basement. And then can also talk the business ease, right? Can sort of apply whatever numbers are coming out of the basement to the business model of the entire company. Can also communicate that to others, right? To the CEOs, the managers, how is this going to impact the bottom line or going to impact this goal that we have? And this right here is where our Masters in Data Science and Analytics program lives. Our goal is to produce these data analysts that we call translators, right? That can sort of translate between, I understand the statistics, I don't get all the math behind it because I don't have that background, but I understand the statistics that are coming out of the basement, the people that are doing the modeling. And I understand enough business and can communicate that to let you know how that's going to benefit our company, right? So they sort of live in these two worlds, one foot in each. Move things and not say, yeah. So what are some data science tasks for a company, for people that are working in the data science field? Well, here's a major one, which is most of what the new field of data science, the reason it's become such a big thing is that what we were dealing with 10, 15, even 20 years ago was structured data, things in Excel files, things like Likert scale surveys, things like customer review models, things like that, that were very structured, and everything's in maybe multiple data sets, but very nice Excel, everything's a row, a column, and very nice. And that's really when you look at the larger set of data that we have now, and I think it's probably, this is not quite accurate in terms of what the percentage is. When you look at all the data that we have, most of what we have now is what's called unstructured data. Things like tweets from Twitter, things like survey data coming from, you know, a stream of consciousness in paragraph form. Things like how many clicks do we have in chats? What's the text from emails? Voice transcriptions from phone calls or surveys being done online. There are so many different ways that we are collecting data now, and most of those methods are in unstructured form. So how do we take that data that's out there and harness it so that we can do something with it and model it? This is a big part of what data engineers do, right? Of that wrangling of data. So this is the data science life cycle. This is one of many. This is one of the data science life cycles that are out there. So we start at the top, which is data discovery. We're searching for whatever the data is that we're looking for within our company. And then we prepare the data. We live here for a good long while. And usually we find some of those data engineers that can help us sort of manage and manipulate this data. We come up with some mathematical models for modeling that data. We're getting away from, well, we'll get there in a minute, but we're getting away from sort of standard statistical practices, which is we're going to random sample and infer about a larger population based on that sample. For a lot of these things, we have census data. We have all the data that came out of the company for the entire month, right? I don't need to take a random sample. I got all of it, right? It's just a matter of how do I process it, right? So, and then getting things in action, which is gathering information and deriving outcomes based on what the company needs, right? So it's not enough just to stop here and say, yep, I have a model that works, right? Good for you. Is it, when you say works, is it going to gain me a penny? Or are we going to gain $1 million? Because I'm not going to spend a whole lot of dollars on the penny gain, right? So we need to understand what it means for the business model. And then this is a really key point in this. And this is where statisticians and mathematicians of days gone by tend to lack, myself included, is that we can't, we have a hard time, shouldn't say can't, we have a hard time taking what we understand in mathematical modeling and statistical modeling and conveying it to those that don't understand these things, right? That maybe I'm an expert in engineering or genetics or BMW, right? But I don't understand what you're telling me and how that's going to apply to my business. Being able to communicate that to others and the stakeholders is important because one, it makes your job important, right? Being able to understand why do I care what you think, right? Telling the CEO, why should I listen to you? Why do you have an agenda item on today's meeting? And being able to convey your evidence so that you can benefit the bottom line of the company, making your job better. And this works in several different contexts, and we'll get to context. All right, so this is one, most of these things I've stolen from others, but this is sort of an analytics maturity, right? So where you start out in intro stat is pretty much here, here, and a little bit of here, right? Which is, I can describe the data, I can do some graphs, I can calculate some summary statistics, mean and summary tables and whatever. And in fact, my second grader at home is doing some of this, right? We learned this at a very early age, how to develop these graphs, right? Then there's some diagnostic things like, right, so this is all past tense, right? What has happened? What data do I have and what has happened? And then some diagnostic things like how many, how often, where, right? Like, so not just the description of the data that I have, but, well, in a little bit, take it in a step further, right? I have these two variables. Do they correlate with one another? Are they grouped in some sort of way, right? And then, we started doing things, you started doing things in predictive models, right? Regression, inference procedures, forecasting, things like that. Prescriptive models are things like, so what do we now do in the future, right? So we've learned all these things, we've learned about how we can use that history to predict, but what does that mean for the future? Should we change the process? Should we keep going as we're going? What actions are needed? And then the final one that sort of gets to the most value and the most sophistication in terms of analytics is optimization, right? So how do I best serve my company? How do I best use the tools that I have to get the outcome I want? Right? And we all know that from optimization methods. That's an OR problem. Right? So why data science? Well, let's read this for a second. Employment of data scientists is projected to grow 36% from 2021 to 2031, much faster than the average of all occupations. Right? It's just a growing field. And it doesn't seem to be going in the opposite direction anytime soon. Not to say it will always be a growing field. Now, I will say, of course, the development of AI has become a very big thing, right? Artificial intelligence. And although that's a wing of data science, right? And of course, things like ChatGPT and things, are very hot button right now. I don't think that's going to change. It's still incoming data, right? We're just going to have to deal with how we analyze that data. So less than 0.5% of all data we create is ever analyzed and used. It's not like, so there's this growing trend of data scientists out there, data science programs, both at the undergraduate and the graduate level. There are a lot of people jumping on board, right? Clemson included. And the field has not washed up yet. There's so much data out there that we're collecting by the millisecond. The need for people to be able to analyze it is continuing to grow strong. And the global data market, not just the United States, the global data market, data analytics market is projected to grow from $271.83 billion in 2022 to $655.53 billion in 2029. Close to triple. So that's why. Right. So in terms of the articles that you see, this is one of the most popular ones, right? Calling data scientists the sexiest job of the 21st century. This was in 2012. And then there's continued articles about, well, is it still the sexiest job of the 21st century? And I think that the answer is yes, for now it is, right? Most of the data scientists that are in the field now are, for lack of a better term, makeshift data scientists, right? There weren't graduate degrees or undergraduate degrees in data science when these people were coming up in the field. They have had to piece together their education based on whatever their undergrad was. They're learning things from the internet, right? YouTube and whatever, Coursera, whatever else they can piece together, along with other industry professionals that are learning these things. And now we're starting to see this trend in employment of, you know what, you need a degree in data science, right? yes, we'll take the ones that put it together and piece it together, but our number one preference is to have someone that has a degree in this, that can kind of see the whole picture and has seen it melded together. So yeah, it's still relevant, yeah. And in terms of industries, we have found in looking at the curriculum for data science undergraduate and graduate programs that we don't like to limit what those fields are. Certainly we always ask, you know, what are the top fields and whatever. We don't like to limit what those fields are. Certainly healthcare, certainly military, government, finance, all the ones you typically think of, but we're going to talk about some of the industries we've had come and speak to our program, and automotive, fashion, they're Stitch Fix. I don't know if you know what Stitch Fix is. It's a online, you can get clothes sent to you, personal shopper, and get clothes sent to you. It's great for me because I hate to shop, but they have a chief data scientist that works with, you know, understanding the surveys that people fill out and which clothing they want and getting personal shoppers matched up with them. So medicine, of course, I mean, that one's pretty obvious when it comes, you know, healthcare. COVID was a pretty big slap in the face of like why data is pretty important to that. The government, finance, engineering, social sciences, political science. I think a lot of the issues in politics today are being at least addressed now more so with quantitative evidence, which is a good thing as long as it's done correctly, right? So there are industries out there, there's a plethora of industries. I honestly think that if you want to think of what kind of fields you're interested in, even a hobby, you could find a data science application to it. All right, so why the DSA program? Any questions so far? I'm moving too fast. We're good. Okay, so why the data science program at Clemson? As mentioned before, we're the #5 best online master's data science program in the country, right behind Berkeley, above Syracuse, and we just started this program summer of 2020, which was a great time to start it. But by the way, this program is 100% online. And it was a great time to start a 100% online program. So we've had 2 years of graduates. The program, if you're a full-time student, is a fall, spring, fall, a summer class, and then a fall, spring, fall. So in December of 2021, we had 7 graduates. Those were our 7 that took the full-time track. That first year, we had 28 students in that first cohort. We had 26 students graduate last December, just last semester. And then we have a similar class coming through to graduate in December. We have, it looks like we're going to have a record class this year for our 2023 cohort in terms of numbers. So it looks like we're probably going to have somewhere close to 40, 45 students in that. So yeah, so let me talk a little bit about our program. We started this because we saw a need out there, this need for data analysts, people that could sort of speak both languages. And we decided the best way to develop this curriculum is to talk to the industry. If the goal was to produce graduates that could be useful to industry, then we should talk to the industry to make sure that these are the things, we're teaching them the things that they will need. So we called in industry professionals from BMW and Hubble Lighting and let's see, AT&T and Bank of America and Dollar Tree and all these different companies to call in and say, okay, this is our goal, is to produce graduates that can do this. What skills do they need? So they helped us develop the curriculum. And so yeah, so our DSA graduates live sort of in this analyst and manager's world. They have sort of a foot in both. So they learn, it's a program that is jointly owned by the School of Mathematical and Statistical Sciences and the Department of Management. 10 courses, it's non-thesis, and 5 of those courses are taught here in the School of Math and Stat, and 5 are taught in the Department of Management. And we'll talk a little bit about those courses in just a second. So the advantages of this program over other online programs out there, Well, it was developed with the industry to start with, right? So, so we kind of always have our finger on the pulse of the industry, always getting feedback from industry professionals about what our students need in order to be worthwhile in the workforce. It's an online program, which makes it extremely flexible. But we do have things, what we call emerging weekends. In fact, we have one in 2 weeks where we're bringing the students to campus and they can see each other and and interact with industry. This has turned out to be the biggest plug for our program in terms of what the students say they like the best about our program. Is we have this cohort model. It's not a new idea, but for an online program, we didn't want it to be people sitting in front of their computer, at 11 o'clock at night, just them and their computer watching YouTube videos, and that's how they get their degree. We wanted it to be interactive. When it's a Clemson degree, you want them to feel as much part of the Clemson experience as they can be. And so we decided to do this cohort model. So all students start in the summer with a boot camp course in a cohort. So like I said, we have our 2023 cohort beginning in June. And then students, after they take the boot camp course together, they can choose to follow one of 3 curriculum paths. It's either 1, 2, or 3 courses per semester. Sort of being fueled by the fire of that boot camp course bonds the students together. It gives them a community. They all have their own Slack channels and their own social media groups where they reach out to one another. So much so that when the group got together last December to graduate, they all knew each other, although they'd never seen each other face to face. They are pretty tight. That first cohort in particular are pretty tight, and it makes you feel like as close to an in-person experience as it can. And then it's an interdisciplinary approach. So there are several programs out there that claim interdisciplinary because they're business analytics or they're data science with a business emphasis, something like that. But most of them are taught within one department, right? So it would be like having the statisticians teach the management side of things. And I don't know about you, you don't want me teaching management skills. It's not something I'm good at, right? So not to say that those programs haven't found the people, but what we did was, well, we want our students to learn those things. So we're going to have the management people teach those, right? And we want our students to learn operations research. So we have experts in OR. And we want our students to learn statistics. So we've hired people in statistics to be able to teach in this program. So we found the industry experts to be able to teach these courses in a truly interdisciplinary approach. So we do have networking opportunities with industry. So part of being in the program, and truly I invite all of SMSS, we have these industry spotlight presentations, which because it's 100% online works out very well for us because we can have people from all over the country or the world come in and speak to our students. COVID's been very nice for this. So this is our industry spotlight series the first year and the second year and the third year. So this is this year's. In fact, I'll put a plug in. We have one next Wednesday with a company called K3, which is like clinical trials. And you'll see, so what we've tried to do is gather industries, both large and small, in a variety of different ways. So we have health, we have military, we have big companies like Amazon and Google. We have small companies like AgriPoint and TravelZoo. This is still to date my favorite talk, AgriPoint. AgriPoint is a small agriculture company. Shouldn't say small in number, but it's an agriculture company whose CEO is a Clemson graduate. He's an engineering graduate, and they use data to help the agriculture field. And they did this demonstration of, they have like these little rovers. They look like souped up golf carts that they can truly take a cell phone and drive in the middle of a vineyard through the vines of the grapes and tell you what the grape crop will be like that year, how many wine bottles it will produce, what the yield will be this year versus last year, just by driving up and down. Their technology is based on their cell phone. It's amazing. They have these cool pictures where they can see, it's just great. you know how big grapes are? They're like this big. Anyway, so it was pretty cool. So we try to get a lot of different industries, both large and small. We know our students are diverse and want a lot of different things. So for instance, we have several students who are very interested in athletics, as we all are, you know, so most people are. So we had someone from the Buffalo Bills come and speak. Last year, we had someone from Clemson football come and speak about what they do. It's really interesting what they've determined. You know, this is one of those examples of, and Dennis talked about this, about being able to communicate what your skills are to other people. So they really had to argue for, this is what we found, and if you listen to me, this is what it will yield. You'll have more wins, you'll have less injury, you'll have, you know, whatever. And they really had to defend, you know, just saying that and proving that are two different things. And so now, I mean, we've all seen Moneyball, right? But so it's been true in baseball for a while, but they're also moving analytics to football and NHL and NBA and all these other sports as well. It's been in baseball forever. So we do have a lot of industry exposure, which is great. So this is the full-time path. So the analytics boot camp is the first summer, and then students take Stat Methods 1, statistical computing, and analytics application. I'll talk a little bit about those classes. But Stat Methods 1 is what you think it is, right? It's learning predictive modeling and descriptive statistics and regression and things like that. Analytics application is learning Python in managerial sense. We're learning Python. Statistical computing, they learn R and SAS, beginnings of R and SAS, and a little bit of Tableau. And then they take in the spring Statistical Methods 2, Advanced Mathematical Programming, which is an OR class, and Data Management and Warehousing, which is what exactly? SQL, non-SQL, things like that. And then in the last semester, they take multivariate analysis with Whitney. And then these two, this is a projects course. So it is technically a non-thesis program, but we do have a projects course because you really shouldn't graduate with a data science degree unless you've worked with real data. And so we have groups help with that class to help produce projects for our students to work on. And then managerial decision making, which is learning about machine learning and how it applies to business. So this is a little bit of deeper dive into those courses. So John Tripp, who teaches in the management department, he teaches the bookends, right? He teaches the boot camp class and the projects class in our program. So this course is like drinking from a fire hydrant. It's intro to programming, it's intro to linear algebra, it's intro to stats, it's intro to a lot of things, just to get everybody's feet wet and kind of get at least not everybody on the starting starting place, but to get everybody at least kind of on the same page, right? So they learn a lot of things in that. Stats Methods 1, writing statistical hypothesis test, experimental design, things like that. That's me. I teach statistical computing. Right now, we're doing SAS, R, and Tableau, but we've written the course in such a way that it's platform agnostic, right? So we can, once those things come out of being the things to Google, teach other platforms. The idea is that we teach so that you have a depth of knowledge that you can translate to other platforms when needed, right? Because you're not going to learn all the platforms that you need for whatever data science job in a traditional sense. It's just not possible. You can learn anything else but platforms. So we focus on R and Python mostly. And programming for data science. This is a Python class where they mostly just learn how to do programming and application development in Python. There's Whitney. He teaches Stat Methods 2 and the multivariate class, which you'll see. So they do things like non-parametric test and regression analysis. Boshi teaches the advanced mathematical programming class. This is optimization. It's an OR class. This is really where the linear algebra comes into play. And of course in stats too, but you have less of that. It sort of bridges the gap between being applied and a little theoretical, right? They do proofs, but they a little bit applied. Yes.
Question. How much of it is linear optimization? How much is non-linear?
Yeah, so they do both, and yeah, there, so there's a little bit of linear, a little bit of non-linear. And. Yeah, like I said, there's some proofs in there, they try to lean towards the applied there. And we were just talking about this class the other day, they're looking at revamping, moving less towards the theory and more towards the applied for this. But yes, there's a strong non-linear component. That's why it's mathematical programming and not linear. Data management and warehousing, like I said, this is SQL, non-SQL, big data. This is taught in the management department. Multivariate, where we get things like MANOVA and cluster analysis. This is the projects course. They've got some really cool things. So when you had 7 people, they all worked. They worked on like 3 or 4 different projects, and they rotated roles, right? Like somebody was the manager, and you know, whatever on that, and they had workers and whatever, and then they all worked on each project because there were only 7 of them. When he had 26, he separated them to you know, now, and we had more business donate data to be able to. They're coming up with executable things, like they come out of this class going, we've solved this problem, or at least we attempted to, right, solve this problem. So, and then this is the data analytics class where you get machine learning and predictive modeling. And that's what it makes. Questions for me? A lot of information at once. Yes, ma'am.
So I have 3 questions.
Okay.
Actually. Is a GRE required?
No GRE or GMAT. So this program is developed to be for working professionals. So we know that because we were looking for a niche of people that wanted to advance their career or learn these new skills, right? And we know it's probably been a day or 2 since people have taken the GRE or the GMAT as working professionals, so we do not require those tests.
Well, across the disciplines that you handle, what are you looking for as a basic skill set for admission?
So basic skill set, it's nice if they've had some sort of calculus, right? Even Calc 1 is nice. It's nice if they've had linear algebra, it's not a requirement. Some sort of programming is we found students that have had some programming tend to do better. However, we do have students that have had no programming, but are eager enough to say, there's something I can do before I get into the program so I do have some resources of, hey, if you're willing to work in these 2 months and learn intro to programming, then you'll be set for the bootcamp course. Really, we want someone who is who's worked with data before, who has an interest in this sort of field, and is based on their recommendations, willing to continuously ask questions, right? Just to be curious and intuitive about data. We have people from all walks of life. We've had English majors take this. We've had a lot of engineers, people from all different. We do have people come straight from undergraduate to this program. We've had several mathematical sciences undergraduate students come straight to this program who've done very well, who teach everybody else what to do, basically. But we also have people that, you know, we've had some older gentlemen that are coming back and starting new careers that are so everybody has a place. Yeah, mostly quantitative, some sort of quantitative background with data, and a little bit of background is nice and programming background.
Yeah, that leads me to my next question, which is like, so what would be the difference between like careers if you choose a master's in mathematical sciences versus a master's in data science?
So this is a more applied degree, right? So you're going to be more on the managerial side, more of the business side. Not to say that mathematical sciences aren't. And if you do mathematical sciences with like an emphasis in statistics, you're gonna be dealing with the data a lot more. You're going to be doing the modeling a lot more, for actually developing the models a lot more. You'll notice they get some of that in this program, but they don't get the depth that a mathematics. They don't get the depth of the understanding of what those models are in this program. It's more of just a can I surface understand what they're talking about, right? Right.
Yeah, and then my third question is just like, if we want to do this, what would be the best emphasis to do in our undergrad if we are mathematical sciences?
Yeah, so probably statistics but actuarial science get pretty good. Honestly, any of the mathematical sciences, if you're gonna get calculus, you're gonna get linear algebra, you're gonna get some programming, so you're all pretty much. But statistics is a good, it gets you thinking in that mindset, right, of what this kind of is. That's typically the best one we recommend. Somebody.
Oh, can students in mathematics register the course in data analysis?
So DSA courses, that's a pro and a con to this program is that DSA courses are for DSA students only.
Okay.
So you have to be in the master's program to take the DSA. And that was by design, it's so that cohort model works. It's so that the other people in the course are sort of going through it all together, right? Don't have, and the courses don't fill up with other. I mean, in the fall, we had 77 graduate students that were active in the DSA program. And so not all taking the same course, right? Because they were in different years. And like I said, it looks like we're gonna have about 45 students in our 2023 cohort. So we fill them up, right? Just with DSA students. So, now, occasionally we will offer. So in fact, we just got approval for a DSA special topics course, and we've actually taught a special topics course in the summer, just under a SNAP course. So a couple years ago, not last summer, the summer before, Andrew Brown taught an intro to machine learning course for our students. It was optional, it's not part of the 10 courses. But some of the students were like, hey, my company pays for classes anyways, or something I can take over this summer that kind of helps bridge the gap. So we created that intro to machine learning course, and it was open to anyone. So, so occasionally we will have things. So the special topics course is actually designated that you don't have to be in the DSA program, but these 10 courses.
Is there some plan for the PhD program of the intersection mathematics and management?
And management. So yeah, we have a lot of ideas. We have a lot of, we decided to focus first on a bachelor's degree in data science. We being the School of Math and Stat decided to focus first on a bachelor's degree in data science. We are this close to having that approved. And after that, I don't know with it, but yes, there's been discussions about a PhD program. It will be not next year, right? It'll be a while.
Are there PhD programs and specifically in data science?
There are, yeah, not many.
I would think there wouldn't be many, but do you know where they are?
No, I can't think of it. I do
So
know-
that actually kind of feeds into an earlier question, because a lot of the data science, very applied stuff, right? Very multidisciplinary, but are there people that work on sort of research level problems and expanding the field itself?
There are, yes, it's not many.
Right.
You're right, it's mostly at the master's level. There are, I will tell you the trend, what happened, and it's not. I mean, if you stop and think about it, it makes sense. What happened is there became a lot of master's programs in data science analytics first. And that's because there were people working already doing data science things that needed these background skills, right? So they didn't want to go back to undergraduate and, whatever, we needed to give them a master's program of, hey, I have a background in stats, or I have a background in math. I just need some of these computing things and understanding what SQL is and whatever. So a lot of master's programs developed first, and now there are more undergraduate programs that are being developed so that you can start from scratch, right? These people coming out of high school can start from scratch.
Well, I think that's very similar to the history of what happened in computer science.
Right.
But I mean, if you look at a lot of universities, computer science departments in their original genesis were created out of math departments, right? Because they didn't, a computer science doctorate isn't nearly as old as a math doctorate.
Right.
So
Because
it's
what-
amazing how many things come out of the math sciences.
That's it. That's what we.
Would you say that this field is more like research oriented as well, since it's more new discoveries of how to handle data?
I think it's ever changing. It is, so it is very applied in that you take a lot of the modeling skills you already have and apply them to But I will say that it's not research void, right? So there are, I mean, tomorrow somebody's gonna come up with a new method of gathering data from, our thoughts, and there's gonna be new models that need to be developed to try to handle that. Right? I'm already weirded out by, I think of something and it shows up on my feeds and in social media, like it creeps me out. So yeah, I don't think it's research void for sure. I think there are models, and when in talking to these industry professionals, there's also this sort of research of taking models that were used for other things and applying them to these newer sources. Right? And does it work?
The questions? Actually, I have a professional question that, since I've got you here, you may be able to help me. Are you
Okay.
familiar with the Math Genealogy Project?
No.
Oh, you should look that up, actually. So you're probably in it, I guess, depending, every PhD, this was started in this guy named Harry Kuntz many years ago, who realized he knew who his advisor was, but he didn't know who his advisor was.
Right.
And so he started gathering this information. It's grown up, and there's 100,000, more than that, entries into genealogy. In fact, if you look at me, you can go back through Gauss, and in fact, now you can go back into the 1100s.
Wow.
Now, those people back then probably weren't really mathematicians. They were trying to make gold out of hair of witch and eye of newt and things like that. But it's sort of an intellectual heritage kind of thing. And it's very popular with mathematicians. My sister's a geneticist, and she got some information about how to do it. So they were going to start at genetics, et cetera, et cetera. But here's my data science question. We get data from a lot of schools, right? And it's incredibly dirty, right?
Yeah.
Some places UC Berkeley or UCal Berkeley, so we get this, it's very hard to sort through.
Right.
And, you said during your talk that, the preparation of the data, sometimes it sits there a long time. What do you think the future is for things like Chat GPT? Just say, fix this, right? I mean, do you think doing the AI now is going to be a viable way to clean up the data?
Yes. I look forward to the yeah, yes, I do. I think that's on the horizon. I mean, certainly we're not close to there. I think there's a lot of back end, because that takes a lot of human thought to get through. What's the difference between writing out UC Berkeley and Berkeley, and that those are similar things, and I know that because I've seen them at whatever. There's a lot of back. I think it's 10 years out, maybe, but not next year. But yes, I do. I think there'll come a time where you can actually talk into something and say, or type into something and say, oh, I want it to clean up the university so that all like things are together.
10 years is kind of disappointing. I saw an article on my phone the other day. I was going to be able to upload my soul by 2030. So,
Oh.
The internet's never gone.
But I mean, there is some work on it right now, come out next week, but
They get
I
that
think
before
we're
they can.
a ways.
Gonna be turning to Dr. Zola.
Doing what I can.
I will say, if you're interested, we're hosting, the DSA program, is hosting a data science conference. We've probably gotten multiple emails from me about this. And it is May 5th and 6th, which is the Friday, the last week of exam, the weekend after exam. And we have a panel list of people coming in to talk about, there's a career fair, there's a panel list of people coming to talk in. SAS is coming to do a demonstration on their visual analytics product. We have a data visualization mini workshop, like okay, you have this data, what's the best way to present it, right? And it's probably not a pie chart. And even if it is a pie chart, how you make it look flashy and pretty and, communicate what you need to. And there's also a data challenge. So on Saturday, there's a data challenge that has multiple levels to it. So we've advertised this to undergraduate students as well. So they're planning on doing the data challenges, having not just like first, second, and third place, but having things like best visualization and best presentation and whatever. So that if all you know how to do is a pie chart, if you make it look really pretty and great, it's better than everybody else's pie chart, you can still win an award and a gift card, $30 gift card. So, this is our website for the conference. There's t-shirts involved and food. right? So, the lunch and dinner on Friday and Saturday is provided, because the event is sponsored by companies, partners. So we'd love to have you there as part of the conversation. Feel free to sign up.
Any other questions? Let's thank Dr. Brazil. Oh, and you all out there as well, I think, but just be Alice.
Yeah.
So, next week will be the last night of the semester. I appreciate your support. Why don't we try to turn out next week? Because we've actually got a visitor coming in, from out of town who's gonna be talking, which will be nice. And a week from tomorrow is the very celebrated Math In. I sent around, some sign-up sheets if you want to sign up, which is always more information for me. But if you're welcome to drop by. We'll be here over in this building all day, helping the undergraduates, members of the Clemson community. So if you got some time to stop by. And other than that, y'all have a great weekend. And we will see you hopefully next Friday.
Brought some stickers and some keychains, if anybody wants a day sticker for your computer thing. You're welcome.